did y'all meet? Oh, maybe I can ask that question.
I know. Well, that's a pretty neat story. And I'm gonna tell you something funny that you don't even know.
Oh.
So,
In the podcast?
in the podcast.
Okay.
We're actually in the podcast.
Oh.
We're in it.
We're in it.
We're in it.
Like now?
Like now, we're like. Hello, welcome to Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. This is Day Drinking with Kimber and
Amy. Hey guys, we're coming at you from Wine Down Nashville again. And today, Kimber has brought some great Australian wines. And you want to know why? Because our guest is from Australia. Yay! Applause. There's an applause sign. So we'd like to welcome you, Ainsley Diaz, to our episode. And boy, that sounded very medical, didn't it? Welcome to our episode. And we're just getting started.
we are just getting started. It's going to be fun before this hour-long podcast
It's
over.
going to be fun. What part of Australia are you from?
Melbourne.
Melbourne. We like Melbourne. I've
Yeah,
never been
it
there,
is.
but I'm gonna like it when
You're
my
gonna
husband
love
takes
You
me.
will. You will.
You're gonna love it.
Yes.
I am gonna.
It's like, Sydney's gets a lot of the attention, but Melbourne is like your big city. But to me, I think it feels more like homey.
Yes.
So very artsy, lots of music, art exhibitions, all that stuff too.
And I know they also have some great wines, but I'm not sure that's where these came from. So tell us the very first one that we're going to start with today.
So this is actually coming from the Byrne family. It's Scotts Creek, which I'm not sure if you know where that's at, where the Murray River goes through. It's one of Australia's largest natural wetlands environments. And actually this was established in 1974. So we're talking, well, even before that, we're on third generation, so which is fantastic because they've been making some unbelievable wines there, and they have a very natural habitat because you've got the river running through, you have the wetlands, the vineyards are all lined. The pictures from there are absolutely breathtaking. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure all of Australia is just gorgeous, but what we're going to try today is they grow several different varietals there, and we're going to try, this is their Chardonnay, and the winemaker there is Phil Redmond, and he is one of only 350 master of wines makers worldwide that is recognized. So I'm super excited to try this with you all.
All right. It's nice and light,
Yes.
actually.
And as you notice on
Oh no, my trophy husband needs a pour.
we need a pour.
I think I saw his bottom lip poke out.
It's as sad as an empty glass.
Ah, cheers, honey.
Cheers.
Cheers to day
Cheers.
drinking.
Day drinking.
DJ drinking.
Wow, that's actually got like a lot of fruit. It's very fruity.
It's very
fruit-forward.
green apple-y.
Yeah.
It is.
Is it apple-y or what? Green apple.
Apple-y.
Green
I like
apple.
it.
It's apple-y. Green apple, lime. Got like little peach notes in it.
Right. It's dry, but it's not overly dry.
Right.
It's I definitely get a lot of the fruit in that. That's my first.
I don't know if this
Very
is a thing, but can you
tropical.
taste like the barrel or whatever? Like I
Yeah.
had to get that taste as
A lot
well.
of times you'll pick up, I mean, that to me is very tropical. Like it has all those tropical pretty things in it that I like.
Oh,
A
that's
good
great
summer wine.
Yeah, it is. All right, so
I'm
Kimber's
excited
gonna-
about the when we go to the red because it will have that's where you'll pick up your French oak.
So we'll have to go into something romantic.
We're going to
something.
something romantic. Yes, absolutely.
All right, so Kimber's going to pour a little in our glasses, and then we want to get straight to you and your story. So, okay, fill her up, Kimber. We're going to have some wine and listen to Ainsley.
We are. We're all going to drink for the next hour.
Right.
I can't wait. So.
Hope nobody has another gig tonight.
Yeah. I don't think so.
But that was
I'm supposed to be attending one, but we'll see how this goes.
Did you just had one this morning? Yes.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah. See, there we go.
Yeah, I think I've done my, playing for the day.
That's great. So I want to hear your story. I kind of know a little bit about it. How long have you been in Nashville?
I think I'm going on 11 years. I think this is the 11th
Okay.
year. We moved officially in 2010, pretty much right before the flood.
Oh
the
my
flooding
gosh,
and
great
all that
timing.
craziness.
Oh, yeah, that's craziness. Yeah.
So my dad and my dad's my manager, and my parents are my record label, my everything. So my dad came with me for that first tour in 2009, and we were here for about 3 months. Oh no, we were supposed to be here for 3 months, and the tour just expanded onto 7 months. I kept getting like bookings and all this stuff, and
Fantastic.
Mom's like back in Melbourne being like, so are you guys like ever coming back? Like, what's going on? Like, thought this was just like a, dip your foot in the water and see, what happened in Nashville. So she was kind of joking about that. But we got back, I think, January in 2010. They packed up everything, sold everything, the house, everything for me to move to Nashville.
Oh man. So no, you weren't coming back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got back and we're like, okay, we're going. It's, there's a lot of music there. There's a lot of opportunities to keep doing stuff more than what I could do. Like I kind of had done what I could in Australia, and there was already stuff coming up here in South America, so it would be just a closer move to do it. And my parents are just amazing in that way. Like they did it for my brother as well before that with tennis. So because he was on the tennis ATP tour, so they kept him on the tour, and we've moved around to be a bit like closer to where he needed to be in his early career and stuff. So then they did it for me as well.
Well, cheers to moving to
Yes,
Nashville.
And
So,
the supportive parents.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Supportive parents.
yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, so when you were in Australia, growing up, and then what was kind of the scene? I mean, I know that you went to performing arts school, and so what was that? What kind of performing arts? I guess when we're talking, and I did know a lot of the things that you do, and it's not just music.
Yeah.
But you're a singer. You play
Yeah.
guitar. You dance.
Yeah.
You're an artist. I mean, do you? I think you.
Oh yeah,
you
do
paint,
paint
draw?
and paintings as well.
Right. We're taking inventory. All right. Check.
Check.
Yeah.
Check.
And right. And I also know that she came into. You came in here and also had your essential oils for sale.
Yeah.
And yes, I said oil.
Oh.
Yes.
Is that a southern thing?
I guess so. I think it's from Tennessee
It's
specifically.
yes, Hendersonville.
I don't know. That might be branch out
Say it
a
again?
little bit.
Oil.
Oh.
I get made fun of that.
Isn't that? I think Germans say it like
Do
that
they?
too. Oh.
Oh.
I think. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and Amy likes to hang out on the fence.
On the fence.
On the
On the
fence.
fence. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's Hendersonville speak, but I'm proud of that. But so you were growing up and you were going to performing arts school, and so how was that going? And tell me, how does that transition into what you're doing?
Yeah. So pretty much for all my life, I've always just been like a performer out there being, crazy in the street, just doing whatever since I was little. My mom's like not like that, so she would be like, oh gosh, what's she doing now? I'm like embarrassed, like I'm on the bus, like, because I grew up in San Francisco. I was actually born in San Francisco, and I would just be in the streets putting on shows and in the buses and singing for the people, and
She knew you was
all
going to
this
grow up and
stuff,
be
and,
some type of entertainer.
there was always, just entertaining all the time and dancing and making up my dances and plays and all that stuff. We moved to New Zealand, and that carried on, and then moved to Australia for my brother's tennis. And then that's when it just really sunk in that I was like a performer, like musical theater in every play and everything in the school, every concert, every show. We just if there was free spots to play in the band for violin or trumpet, or I'd be like, I'll learn it, I'll try or whatever. Not that I'm any good at those anymore, but yeah, I was always just inclined to go to that creative side and art as well. And so I was actually 2 years ahead in school. So I was very young. I was 16 and everyone was about 17, 18 graduating. And so my dad was like, well, you're already ahead. So just get it done, and then we can go and test out what else you want to do from there. And so I went to this performing arts college, but I also loved fitness too. So I went to 2 colleges at the same time. And
Wow, that's
did performing
somebody's
arts.
an overachiever. We won't name names. Ainsley.
Well, yeah. So in the performing arts college, that was my main focus was voice, and then dance, and then acting, and then part of the curriculum was also fencing.
Oh,
Which
yes.
at first on the schedule, I was like, fencing, and I'm thinking like the Olympic guys, like in the white suits with the little tiny like this. Oh, what does that have to do with like, performance and stuff? And then I get there and I find out it's the like fencing that you see in like movies, like Princess Bride, and it's more like theatrical and the big moves and like cut to
I
chest,
didn't know.
and have to do
Okay.
the whole act before and after, like, well, you killed my mother, and you on guard, and you had to have like an acting and a reason why you were about to have a fight, and then the whole dying scene. and-
See, I would think it would be fencing, like you said, like
Yeah.
you go with a little sword and you're, but I would never think that.
Yeah, neither did I. And it turned out to be one of my most favorite classes because it was just another movement class, and you were doing all this cool sword stuff, and back and forth
sword
and
stuff.
retreat. And
Sharp instruments.
they were those ones that are bendy. So like when you hit someone, they went doop, so it didn't like penetrate or anything.
You just pretend like you died.
Yeah, and then you have to do the and all the reactions, and so that was really fun. We had to put on all of our own productions, and not just the performance side. We had to learn all the production stuff too. So like it was a big whole class team effort of learning front of house and lighting and audio and all that stuff, which I thought was just, I think everyone, if you're in the business, you should know a bit
Absolutely.
of everything so
Yes,
that you
yes.
know also how to react when things go wrong and all that stuff.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes, yes.
That's actually a big piece, and a lot of places don't cover that kind of stuff. And for anybody that performs in any capacity, that is really helpful.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a class that was all based on like technical things going wrong. So like you just got to mess with people like while they were performing, like pull a cord or like knock a light over or something, just so that they had to figure out how to keep going or fix it while they're still performing. So that was a fun class.
That sounds
That
like
would be fun. That
Sounds
would
like
be,
fun.
yeah.
And so from there, I mean, when you were looking at your life, were you thinking you were going into acting career, or what was
Yeah.
like your end goal?
Well, yeah, it's always been music and singing. I don't think I quite put together being like an actual full-on artist until I was about 15 or so, when I started writing my like own songs after my brother taught me a few chords on this guitar. What has a whole
So you
other
were
story.
so a late bloomer at 15. She acts like I didn't really understand myself till I'm 15.
Well, I feel like I was always performing, but I didn't
That's
put like
awesome.
the artist thing together. I don't think in my mind like totally that, oh, you can be like an artist like yourself,
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when that all kind of came together, and then finished school as quick as I could, and then got to the performing arts college to get.
Wow.
And I always wanted to have that like the triple threat like round off thing, so that you could, do musical theater
Sure.
or this, or if I wanted to break out in a dance on stage, I could, or stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And I was trying to think what I was doing at 15. I think I was like, picking out purple lipstick and, like dreaming of, running off with a, lead singer of a rock band or something. I don't know. But I definitely wasn't coming into my own. My life purpose had not been found. I'm still looking for it. If anybody sees it, pick it up.
I mean, I think you keep looking for it. Like it's never like quite. I mean, like you keep evolving in what you're doing. Like I still think I'm figuring stuff out.
That's great. And so then, as you deciding that, and then, so did you go out on your own? Did you get a band? How did all of that form?
Yeah. So think it was, I just had a few songs, and then it must have been my dad who was like, okay, well, we need to get these recorded. So he organizes me getting into the studio and all that stuff, and just started with an acoustic demo so that I had stuff to build arrangements around with the band. And
How old were you at this time?
so now I think I'm around 17, 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, through the Performing Arts College, when I was 16, I did record there, like, just other students learning to be, to do studio stuff. So I just did like home recordings and stuff. But I was talking about when I went into like a studio for the first time, was probably, around 17, 18.
That's awesome.
And just
I'm
to
like
lay
you.
down,
Yeah.
just by myself, like my songs.
And I love the background. It's all the time as your dad's like, okay, so let's get that done. Let's move on to the next.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, now that we have this, let's do this. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love his attitude.
So did guitar was the first instrument that you learned how to play?
Trumpet.
Trumpet.
Violin and trumpet, kind of at the same time. The trumpet story is very random. Like, I didn't mean or like, ever want to necessarily play it, but I was in like a really boring class, and the trumpet teacher, or the horn teacher must have been really bored, and he just went around to all the classes and was just like, excuse me, just want to let everyone know that I've got some openings for some students. If anybody wants to learn, I can take you now. And my two friends, we just looked at each other. I don't know what class it was, but it was really boring, and we were all just like, trumpets, that's fine, let's
You're
go.
a trumpet player, hey?
Yeah, and then we got to go on like all the band excursions and the events and
Yeah.
all that stuff, so
That's
that was
great.
cool.
Absolutely.
And so you went into the studio and you got your demos, and then what did you do with those demos?
Okay, so that was the basis for me to start getting a band together, maybe. Wow, this is I'm trying to think back.
It's just such an interesting
The
jump,
order.
like, because you're there,
Yeah.
and then you're on tour. So,
Right.
like, what's that
Yeah.
bridge that gets you from a teenager in a recording studio doing demos to all of a sudden now being on tour?
Well, I'm trying to think
Yeah.
where that acoustic demo went to get. Okay, I think from there I played just shows like by myself for like maybe
Like
a
local
year.
stuff
Yeah,
and-
yeah, like all around Melbourne. And then from there, I think then I had like an album's worth of songs. And then again, my dad's like, all right, let's go. And now we're like a full-on
Got a cool
studio.
dad.
And I think it was about 2 weeks, like 8 in the morning to like 8 at night. We just knocked this record out. And I am very proud of it because I did like write all the parts, like guitar parts, vocal, strings, all that stuff. Not that I could play them, but I could hear them. So I would sing it to the engineer and he'd put it all together. So when I listen back to that, I'm like, oh, wow, that was cool. I remember like coming up with that, but it's still like, I did that. That's cool. So that's what happened. So I did all the parts in my head, mostly in that studio time in the 2 weeks. And then we had this whole record, and now we have to get a band to play it live. And so then the audition started. That's how it went. Yeah.
Wow, that is really putting yourself out there. So you had to go out and do venue auditions.
Yeah. Oh no, do band, like the band auditions.
Oh, band auditions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by then I'd had enough shows like by myself that I knew venues would want me to come back with the band. So now I'm like, I got all this with the band. you know?
That is great.
So-
I love it.
Yeah, so we had a few different lineups of the band, but before I left, I had a really good core band in Melbourne that I still am all friends with. And
That's great.
Keep in touch with, but
That's so good.
yeah.
And so you're performing in Australia, but then you started to branch out. And so what was the next part of the world you're about to conquer? Because I think this is really interesting, especially in Nashville. I wanted Ainsley on here because I think it's neat that a lot of times people come to Nashville and you have no clue who their audience is, and even though she has an audience here in the United States, but she even has a huge audience in other parts of the world. So that's why I just think
Yeah.
that's neat to...
So how that happened was that from that record, and just being like kind of sent out to wherever, like to radios and all that stuff. That's when the South America and over here started picking up just people playing it on radios. You know, I didn't know where the radios were, but they were requesting the songs and all that stuff. So we had that momentum, and then that kind of just built that extra fan base. And then, and also at that time there was MySpace, which was, when it was at its peak, was a very good platform for upcoming artists, and you could sell your CDs and your merch, and like it was just a very lucrative time on that first record that I built up that fan base, especially on there. At that time, it was like 20 to 30,000 people on my MySpace.
On MySpace.
Yeah. And it was like thousands and thousands of like hits on the songs. You know, they had the little playlist thing there. So, and when I first came to Nashville, MySpace was still like, you know, there. So those numbers did mean something as well.
That's great.
So,
that's great.
and then it was just trying to get all of them to like move over to Facebook and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
So sometimes that's a process. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's so. That's the thing that is just amazing to me, because we've had one other person on, and neither of you are on a label, but it's just like the power of social media that has kind of driven the career and got you to where
actually
you are.
getting to the people that listen to your music and
Right.
like true fans. You know, I think that it's a harder route sometimes, but at least you know it's authentic and like, genuine, and people actually love your songs or your music
It's
or
all
you.
fan-based.
It's
Yeah.
fan-based.
It's fan-based.
But you can be successful doing that. I just think it's amazing if you just put the hard work in and you do it.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's just a neat story. So where did you tour in the United States? Tell me that, like, you know, the name of your album that you came out and did a tour with, and like, what was what?
So it was my first record, so I knew I needed to make it something like memorable, but that symbolized the beginning of something. So it was called A Road to Infinity.
Love it.
And I found this like crazy, very red clay dirt road on the way to the airport in Melbourne. And I was just like, how do we get over to that road? And we had to find all these back roads.
That is the road to infinity.
Yeah. And there was only like a tiny little shed and a little cute cat that walked in front of the photo shoot, but we were able to like, you know, Photoshop them out. And then it literally looked like it just didn't end, and it was awesome. So that's that cover. I'll send a picture. So
Yeah,
you
I
can
love
flap
that.
It.
We totally need to have that.
And so that was that beginning of that era. And what was the question?
Well, and so then you started to, you started
That's what
to
happens when you
tour.
start drinking.
Yeah. She needs another. We'll be singing 99 Bottles of Beer on that. That'll be our new album.
I think I started off answering it, and then I was like, but where was the punchline?
We can just do a drinking game on that. Every time we forget.
Or go back and ask a question at the beginning,
Yes.
say at the end, what did we ask you the very
Yes.
first time?
How many years have I hold on? Where does the road lead again?
Oh, coming to Nashville?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if you are familiar with Tamworth, but in Australia that's like a really big country music festival. So what's weird is I never wanted to be a country artist, but because I love slide and stuff like that, I would put a bit of that and some pedal steel in. But in Melbourne, where I was, mainly playing, just because I had a bit of those like tones and sounds, they'd be like, "Oh, she's country,"
Sure.
And so anyway, I get into this competition for this festival. And it's actually at a winery in Victoria, at the Yarra Valley Winery.
Yes.
And so we were doing that show, and the big prize was a trip to Nashville and a recording deal. No, was it a recording deal or like time in the studio in Nashville or whatever? So, but I didn't win. And And again, you'll like
Your
it,
dad.
my dad.
I
but
knew it.
He's like, because I was like young, and I was like a bit sad and like down. Like I made it through rounds, and like I just didn't make that last one. And he's like, "You that upset about it?" And I was like, "Kind of." He's like, "Well, if you're that upset about it, I'll take you to Nashville. I'll take you." Like he's like, you don't need them competition to go to Nashville." And I was like, okay, I don't even really know if I want to go to Nashville, but that was the prize. Okay. And then that's kind of the start of like, we're going to go to Nashville and check it out, what the big deal is. You know?
love that.
And that's now we're up to, that's in 2010 or 2009?
So that would have been maybe a year before we actually, before we actually did that first run. But like he never forgot. He was like, "Well, I'll take you there."
So when you first...
Did you record here?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. When you came here, did you record?
No, I did. Did I that first time? No, because I had that the same Road to Infinity record, and we were just like, we're gonna ride that and then just play it out. And I did all those riders nights, but like every day, like because I looked up on the schedule. There's like. I'm like, Dad, there's all these like writers things, like maybe we just start there.
Yeah.
And then from there it just got so busy. Like I had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Oh,
and
my
then
goodness.
showcases, and then things just came from that, from people seeing me. So
Do you write your own songs, all of your songs? That's amazing.
So it's all
I just think
original.
that's such a talent.
Writes and composes. Right?
Yes.
yeah,
It's amazing.
Plays and I just like I hear once things start coming together, then I start hearing all the other instrumentation in my head. So, and it's mainly in the studio. Like if I've got that luxury of hanging out in the studio and going over and hearing it, that's when that inspiration comes out of like hearing parts and.
That's God-given
Thanks.
talent, you know,
It is.
because there's so many people that would love to have that gift, because it really is a gift to be able to write and compose and know, especially not if you're just, picking around, but you hear it already in your head of what you want it to sound like.
Yeah. I mean, I hear voices in my head.
I got those too.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got.
Oh my
Stand
goodness.
by a minute.
Well, I will tell you. Let's. We're gonna go into our next one here in just a moment. We're gonna just take a quick little second to switch out here. So we're gonna finish our wine. Look, she's ahead of us.
You are a good participant.
You are a good participant.
I told you this is my jam.
Good.
Wine.
Could be your second career. Wine drinker.
Absolutely. Wine drinker. Yep.
Professional.
Just add that to the end of all your
Yeah.
things. Composer, artist, dancer, wine
Day
drinker.
drunk.
Okay, so the next wine that we're going to go into is going to be a little bit Shiraz.
Shiraz.
Yeah.
From,
That sounds
yes,
sexy.
It does. It's Shiraz.
Does it drink sexy? That's what I want.
I think it should drink sexy. Yes. So the great thing about this is you should get those, from Australia, you should have those beautiful raspberry notes from this, which I think is, I'm going to reach over you, that's super yummy. A little vanilla hints to it. And look at that color, isn't that
That
pretty?
is
That's
really
really
pretty.
nice.
One of the things about Scotts Creek too is that they're vegan friendly, and they have recycled glass, which I think it's eco-friendly. Everything that they do is all about making sure that they kind of give back to, you're welcome, give back to nature, and give back to, there's so many different species of birds that come there, endangered birds, and so they want to just make sure that everything stays the same. And if you ever get an opportunity to go online to check out their website, it is beautiful. And like you can stay in, we need to go there.
I was going to say, check out their website.
We can, they have these
You
little,
mean go there.
they have these little friendly, villa-like things you stay in. And so
Oh, man.
the river's running through it, and I'm like, oh, sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah, we need to check out more than their website.
Yes.
Not to mention, I'm also vegan friendly. I'm very nice to vegans as I'm eating my steak, which I think this wine would probably go very well with. Just to say.
Love the nose on this.
Oh, wow.
That does smell really good.
Okay, I like
There's your-
everything about this.
Yes.
Okay, Scotts Creek, that's a good one. I like everything about this wine. It's very rich and I
Ooh,
love
there's
the
your
intensity.
that's like your French oak influence there. That's really pretty.
It still has
Okay,
a
that's my
lightness
type.
to it as well.
It does, which just means you can drink more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really pretty. That is
Tempt
beautiful.
me with a good time.
I know, right? Okay, you're gonna have to fill us up, Kimber, because
I will do
I gotta
that.
get warmed up for work. No, I'm just
Dun, dun, dun.
dun, dun, dun. But no, actually, as we're having our last glass of wine, till a more responsible time, I wanted to go ahead and talk to.
Oh, I'm good, thank you. I still gotta drop the camera.
Yeah, she has to try that again. I want to hear. All right, you got here and you already had your material. You were putting it out in the world. You were doing showcases, and then you end up going in the studio in Nashville. And so, all right, talk to me about that.
So that first time here in Nashville was at where is it? Cerny Tree Music on Music Row, and again, my dad organized a good deal, so that we could just go in there for the whole weekend to ourselves with no one else there apart from the engineer and stuff. So we just knocked out 4 songs. Mainly the drums and bass and guitars on that one day, and then I went back and did vocals and all that stuff. But it was just it was definitely a different experience, actually recording with my band, which I hadn't ever done before. So we'd actually had that time to rehearse the songs and come on in and just knock it out, which was cool. So any of the other parts that were added, that was me, on another day. But so that was a cool experience, and all being in one room and just knocking these songs out. And
You're like,
so
this
that was
is
really cool.
this is real.
Yeah.
This is happening
Yeah.
right now. That's just
Which
it's
really
gonna-
is kind of the Nashville way, everybody being in one room,
Yeah.
which is different from a lot of places.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and it was one of those. It's a very big, one of those big, beautiful wooden floor rooms, and you got the ISO booth, but in the engineer room over there. But it was definitely a really cool experience to do that again, but in a different way, with the live band. So that was the first time in Nashville.
And what was the album you were working on at that time?
That was the Lonely Silhouette album. So that kicked it up a little bit more into the rock and roll vibe that I wanted to hit a little hotter. That had Lonely Silhouette, Tell Michelle, Crazy Train, and Our Cry on it, which was my anthem for love and peace and kindness and the future. And I got rallied all these little kids that I could find, or got their whoever parents I knew that had kids at that time. I was like, can you bring your kids in to sing in the little choir at the end?
I love that.
And
So cute.
And I was some of them were oh, they can't hold a tune. I was like, no, it doesn't matter. I don't care if they can't sing. I want that raw,
Yes.
little kid sound.
Yes.
At the end of that song, and you can hear it coming through. I just remember I had one little girl at the front, so passionate, and it was totally not in tune, but it was perfect. And because all they had to sing was love, which the song is the main thing in the world is love, and so that's the only word they had to remember, and it was super cute. So if you go back and hear that, you
now I
can
have
hear
to
that.
think about that when I hear it. So, hey, Michelle.
Tell Michelle.
Yep,
Yep.
Yes. So my daughter and I were listening to it.
Oh.
So tell me about, I want to know, how did you, I want to know about the song.
The
when you're
story
writing
about that.
Yes.
So that one, I'd had a few friends going through some bad relationships and hard times, and a little bit of that borderline abusive relationship and stuff, and so it just that was where that inspiration came from. Was Michelle is a metaphor for all women to just not put up with that kind of stuff, and even if the girl ignores you or whatever it is, it's not your right to be abusive or
Absolutely.
verbally or anything like that. Michelle is a metaphor for all women, and to be strong, and also to tell the partners to not be douchebags.
Yes. I know when I was listening to the song, I'm like, wow, this is powerful. Like, just the choice of lyrics and listening to it. I knew that it had to be. I wanted to know the story behind it because I knew there's something always there.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that one is very, very popular. That's one of my biggest songs for male and female. I think males love it because it has Michelle, like a name in it, like a girl's name, so they get
Especially if you're Michelle.
But yeah, girls get really into the message behind it.
Yes.
And so after you recorded that album, and you're touring again, right? And so what I know about you is that you have a big fan base in Chile. So how did that happen?
So like I said, just randomly with us building up, the social pages and all that stuff, that base just started to really grow. And then my dad being able to speak a lot of different languages also, so he was able to talk to radios and things all over the world and get the songs placed on their shows and things like that. And I think it just kind of randomly grew from there.
And by the way, we have some amazing wines from Chile and Portugal and all those wonderful places.
Yes.
So that means we'll have to come.
We have to do another one.
We're gonna have to do another one.
Another one on Chile.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
That's great.
So with you being here then in 2010, everything's packed up. So you were here for the flood, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Which we had the 2010 flood here in Nashville, which I think totally threw everybody for a loop.
Yeah.
But
it was like, hey mom, let's move to this awesome place, and then it's flood, and she can't do anything, or then the roof's falling. She's like, yeah, this is great.
Oh no.
With you being here and you've seen the change, I always say the change in Nashville, because really the biggest changes happened within the last, I say 5 years. Don't you think, Amy?
Yeah, I
Probably
do.
5 years. Just in the way Nashville has moved forward with different genres, not just so much just country music, even though if you go downtown, you're going to listen mainly country music, but you hear everything. You hear every genre, I think, in some of the bars. But what is the one thing that you still love the most about Nashville, even when you moved here, and how it is still today? What is one of the one things that you still love the most about Nashville?
Well, on the music side, I love that it's grown versatile. And even 10 years ago or whatever, it was known to be a country town, but there was actually still these pockets of every kind of music happening. You just had to find it and know that Broadway was not the only place for music, because then you veer off and you find all these cool other clubs and jazz clubs and rock clubs and R&B and all that stuff. Obviously, that's even got grown more, and those scenes have grown as well. So I love that. I love that you can get every kind of music and everything. And all the artists and businesses, music business people. It's not just country. So you can do everything here now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of 80s rockers and stuff live here. And
They do.
Yeah, it's just
we were just talking about that just earlier. How some of
They
them
like to show up at the Opry, which is very different.
Just,
All of a sudden there'll be a social media post, and you'll see Steven Tyler at the Opry, and you're like, what?
Yeah. And those kind of things are surreal to me, things that I know I'd never experience if I stayed in Australia, the people I've met here, and just those kind of different opportunities and things. And then on the other side of things, socially, I've never met I've had the best time meeting people and making some of the best friends I've ever had in Nashville, both in music and other.
Nashville's a nice city.
Yeah,
It really is. I mean, I grew up here. You did too. I mean, people that come here. I had somebody just this week that was following me around, doing with my work, and this town is amazing. They just kept talking about the town. Like, the town's amazing. The people are so nice. Like, is everybody like this here? I'm like, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think those are probably the questions you get the most if you've lived here. They are surprised. Is that real? Is everybody that nice? I mean, general attitude is, very, very welcoming. So I would say
Absolutely.
that is pretty genuine here.
Yeah.
And I love that and that hasn't changed,
Yes.
So
Right.
Now, do you
sounds
have a
very cool.
significant other?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about this person and
yeah.
how you met this person.
It's Christopher Williams. He is another amazing musician, drummer.
Insert all here.
Yeah. He plays for the German metal band Accept,
Yes.
along with a
Yes.
bunch of other artists as well. But
Symphony of Pain.
yeah, yes,
Yes.
80s rocker over here.
Yes.
yeah.
So,
So
I'm running music.
She shook her ass to Whitesnake's car. You know what I mean?
I did.
yes,
Yes.
that's awesome.
I was the girl that had all the 80s rockers on my wall. Like, I couldn't find another spot that I could pin anything because there were just posters everywhere. Like, yes.
Full of
And one was just hair.
There's just, yes.
so much hair.
I mean, when
a
you
portion
really
of
look
hair.
at it, like when you're looking at posters, you're right, because it's like Night Ranger,
Yeah.
their hair.
The hair.
And you've got Motley Crue's hair. Then you have Rat, their hair. I mean, I'm
What
thinking
about
of
Cinderella?
Cinderella.
That was one of my favorite
Twisted
bands.
Sister. I mean, I'm thinking of all these posters I had on my wall of all these artists. I mean, I had no other, there was nothing on my walls other than posters. That's kind
That
of
is
crazy.
great. Oh my gosh.
I don't think posters are popular anymore, right? Like,
I don't
do
know.
kids put posters up?
I don't know. We need to have
Do they
like.
get
My daughter,
posters in magazines?
I mean,
Like-
both
Make
my
me sound really
girls.
old.
We have the Avengers.
I'm trying to
and
think.
one of our daughters-
My girls had Taylor Swift on their wall, on the door. They had a couple posters of her,
Okay.
and
I
they
think we
had
should bring it back.
Jonas Brothers. Yes, we should.
fold
We
out
should bring
posters.
posters back.
Don't you remember what is it? What was the ones pop? No, what was the ones for that when we were younger?
And they had the staple, and you had to
Yeah,
be
you had to
really
be real careful to
Don't,
undo
like,
the
rip the
staple,
poster.
so you make sure that you didn't press any of the person's shirt out or anything, or rip the shirt.
Yeah.
So
That's great. And so Chris, I think he's on tour right now.
is
Huh?
he?
No, he's here.
it
Yeah.
Never mind. Chris is not
Well,
on
you
tour
never,
right now.
you never
is he?
quite know where he is. He is a very busy bee. If he's not playing, if he's not out on tour, he just wants to play, and he'll go and he'll play every gig downtown that he can, and or for any other band. He plays a bunch of different styles and everything. So
That's great.
yeah,
It's great to have something like that in common. With
Yeah.
So how did you meet?
Well, that's a long, funny story because I think we were both in these similar circles, and the circles kind of intertwined, but we never met properly. But we were both with other people at the times that we've recollected these memories and things. So it took a while to actually meet. But the first story is that he saw me playing downtown at what was that bar on 2nd, but they had an original night on Thursdays, and that was his day off, so he decided to go and just hang out, and he walked in on my set, and apparently he was all who is that? She's rocking the guitar and she's singing, and he's
And she's beautiful.
and he sat in the corner or something, and then apparently we talked, but I don't remember afterwards. And he says that my dad again was pulled me away and said, "Oh, you need to go and sign something over here." Or something. So that was that story, but I don't remember meeting him. And then another time, my drummer Rick brought me over at Mercy Lounge show. It was actually a Tom Kiefer show.
Yeah.
And was "Hey, Ainsley, this is the guy with all the Kiss drums."
Oh.
And I was "Hey man, how you doing?" And he doesn't remember meeting me that
funny,
time.
funny.
So there was all these times, and then finally he came to another one of my shows, and then we actually talked after that.
That's great.
But
That's great.
Yeah, it was a bit of like a long process, but we figured it out in the end.
I love it. Well, it is nice to have that in common for sure. Something like that. is
yes,
amazing.
yes. And he's got a home studio set up, so he is recording some of my newer demos and stuff while I'm
That's
doing
great.
that. So that's pretty cool.
That is
Working on that
exciting.
stuff together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So if people want to go right now and find your music, where can they do that?
You can, it's all AinsleyMusicOfficial.com. But obviously from there you can go to Spotify or iTunes or all those platforms.
Or
to
if
get
you
it.
could just go see her at one of her shows here in Nashville.
Yes.
And go to actual full, CD,
Come
the
support
physical
her.
thing.
Yes.
Which means you have to have a CD player.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, I love this. This is great. And I wanted to just say the power of social media, because again, not only the way that your dad has rooted you on, which is amazing, but also, so when I don't know how long you had been in town, but I wasn't a huge Facebooker, but I kept seeing you pop up on my stuff, and I was like, this person keeps popping up. Ainsley, composer, writer, singer, and I'm like, she must be new in town. I kept thinking, and then I look on your friends, you have like every friend of mine in common, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. So who is this person? And then I'd kind of see you circle around again, and it would circle around again. I was like, okay, apparently I need to know this person, And so then we were friends on Facebook, and I don't think it was that much longer that I think I've met you here, possibly, right? Because we started a Sisters in Song with Rachel Rodriguez, who's a great singer in town. And she had it in her heart for us to start a Sisters in Song group. So basically that we included women in the music business in all capacities in Nashville, that we could all just like have a way to talk and hang out together, and also on social media as a group. So, but we had a gathering here at Wind Down, and that's when Ainsley came in, and then I could
physically met,
physically put who you were in my brain, and I just loved her. So I just loved you to death, and I thought, this is cool chick to hang out with. And
Well, I'm excited to be able to come to Wind Down and listen to you at your next, performance here, because
which we've been talking about, so that needs to happen.
I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
So yes.
So that needs to happen.
Hopefully,
The
we'll figure it out
version.
soon.
Other than listening to you, I want to see you in person, so I can actually witness this for myself. So your voice is beautiful, and
thank
being
you.
able to play like you do, and I think it's amazing that you have all the talents that you do, not just with songwriting and the artistry and your voice, and then again all the other things that we can add to it. But that to me is a total gift to be able to have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It is. So thank you for coming to
Yes.
Kimber's
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
It is. And so, Kimber, one last time, go over the wines. If anybody listening wants to find these wines, let's tell us one more time what these are.
Yes, so this is Scotts Creek Retreat, and so we have their Chardonnay, their Syrahs. Again, most all places in Nashville. I do have, there are several stores that actually carry these, or here at Wind Down Nashville.
I'm going to have to tell you, this Shiraz is my jam. I'm definitely having to
So
bring
good,
this in.
so good, and they're fantastic, and they support such a great cause there in Australia, and so I'm super excited to be a part of being able to share these wines. So
Awesome. Well, cheers to
cheers
day
to
drinking.
day drinking. Thank you.